Hi, my name is Jeanie Beri, and I'm the director of the Rhythmic Arts Dance and Music Center, also known as Dancing Shiva. I'm about to take you on a journey of my story, about my family, about my journey through the last 40 years of my life. So my parents were born in India. My dad was born back in the day when it used to be Pakistan. They moved right when the split happened. And my mother was born in Agra, but they both got married in Delhi about 40-something years ago. They moved here. Well, my dad came first to start a new life, to see if there was any opportunity here for him and his business. And he was successful at it, so he went back, got married very quickly, and brought my mom here a year after they got married, and then they started their life. They had me in Queens, New York, and then had my brother about 4 years after that. You know, didn't have so much money, but it was comfortable, and you know, we were always just seeing my dad always working very hard for us. So when we moved from Queens, we moved to Edison, good old Edison, what it used to be back in the day. One of few South Asians that lived in that town. So there were definitely, not necessarily discrimination, but you know, you didn't feel completely comfortable with either side, because you know, at home you would always have to answer to your parents, and they would always kind of be a little bit more strict. At least my parents were. They were a little bit more strict and didn't allow me to do as much as I saw my American friends doing. So even though I would be invited to some things like sleepovers, for example, growing up, it took a while for me to actually be able to do that. And then, you know, you kind of had to not always tell the truth in order to get along and, you know, hang out with other than Indian friends. So it was a little bit difficult. I grew up dancing at an American dance school and in Edison, and I was probably one of 4 girls that were Indian in the studio. So I think dancing really helped me get through a lot in life, even till this day. So I started my studio before I got married, the year before, with about 40 students I had in the basement, and it just kept growing.
Welcome to our 11th annual show. It's the start of a new decade of dance. Last year was our 10th year.
We love to teach dance, and our students are eager to learn. This is how dance has been passed on through the ages. And then I got married a month after my first recital, and my husband was very supportive of, you know, whatever I wanted to do. And 2 years later, we had our daughter, Gia, who is now going to be 12 next month. Gia was born normal. She had a full, I had a full-term pregnancy, and you know, there were very minor issues. I had really no issues during pregnancy. Nothing came out abnormal. My heart rate was going up while I was, you know, in labor, and then so the doctor said, let's do a C-section. Didn't really think anything of it at the time. And so, you know, you're a first-time parent, pretty young parent. I didn't have any other friends that had had kids at the time. So we didn't really notice any really challenges that she was having until about 12, 13 months, where she really wasn't reaching her milestones. She wasn't walking, she wasn't really crawling, talking very little. The only thing I think she did was sit up on her own. She didn't take her first steps until she was 17 months, which was also in the basement at my parents' house during a dance class. So that was like a major thing for us. 4 years after Gia was born, I had my other daughter, Shaila, who's now gonna be 8. So, you know, we were just being normal parents, just trying to keep up with day-to-day life. But then we really started to see a lot of more challenges and more regression happening with Gia. So she has been through 3 brain MRIs already, and nothing really came out of the first 2. So from developmental delay, she got diagnosed with cerebral palsy, which really didn't make sense because it wasn't something that happened at birth, but we still got that, you know, diagnosis to kind of help us with insurance purposes. So we had another brain MRI, and recently in November we have a new diagnosis of something called NBIA, which is neurodegeneration from brain iron accumulation. Crazy word and scary word. We just found out about this past November. Not much information out there about this. It's a very rare genetic disorder that, a lot of doctors don't even know about. I kind of, went crazy after we got the diagnosis to just try to see if we could talk to different specialists. Nobody really knew anything about it, even neurologists. Nobody could really give us any solid information. Obviously, it was very disheartening. We found about it right the day before Thanksgiving, so that just made life a lot harder in terms of emotional-wise. So a little bit about NBIA. Basically, it is a progressive disease, so nobody really knows the outcome. There's no set time limit because there's so many different variations of this disease. We recently found out that the kind that Gia has is so rare that she's the only one in the world that they know of right now that's carrying this kind of specific genetic mutation, which makes this whole thing even more rare and more crazier to really wrap your head around. Is how can something like this happen? How in this day and age can something so rare happen? When you think that you're doing everything right. She has a super strong sister who's just amazing. They have their typical sibling moments where they fight, which is very healthy, but this 8-year-old girl has grown up so fast because of her sister. And I think that's the hardest part for me, is trying to make her understand that everything is gonna be okay. Family-wise, we are truly blessed to have that support. And I think I'm a board member of this foundation called SCAN Foundation, and they've started a group for special needs families. And I think that's also brought me a little bit at ease, because I know that there are other families that are going through so much stuff, and we all have, our children might be different as far as their challenges, but all the parents are going through the same struggles and worries about what the future is going to hold for their children, and when we're gone, who's going to take care of them? My studio is a huge outlet for me, and because of her, I've also been given so many opportunities to do things. I've started a charity event called Dance for a Cause, which is a fundraiser to raise awareness for special needs children, give them a platform to come and perform, because they don't really get chances like that in a stress-free environment, along with typical peers who need to be taught and really taught how to deal with and speak to a child who they might find different. This Dance for a Cause event that we do, we've done it for 3 years now, and every year we choose a different special needs charity where we raise the money for. So the first year we did it, we raised money for Autism New Jersey. We were able to raise about $10,000 for them. Local dance schools come, they bring their students to perform and participate, and we try to get other special needs groups to also take part. So although it's like a balancing act, which I think every parent goes through, whether you're a special needs parent or not, whether any kind of child needs that attention, and if you're working and just a stay-at-home mom or whatever your case is, the balancing act can be very, very tough. There are days where I just sit in the corner and I cry because I don't know what else to do. But I have to take what's been given to me and hopefully take care of my daughter, but also help other families that are going through something similar. The only kind of time I felt like my daughter was not accepted was when I actually took her to India 2 years ago. She had been there before, but this time, I guess because her situation had gotten a little worse, she was sitting in a adult stroller, and because she can't really walk very well. So people were just staring. I'm standing at the door. They wouldn't even hold the door open because I'm trying to leave Starbucks there. I mean, it sounds so silly, but I just couldn't believe that everyone was just staring constantly. And, even family-wise, like they didn't really know, over there, the family, they didn't really know how to approach her or how to talk to her. And I mean, I don't really blame them because they haven't really been taught otherwise, but, it was a little disheartening. And luckily, you know, my husband, he is an amazing father. His family is also from India, from Punjab, and he's grew up with 2 other brothers, so they didn't have any girls in their house. But now he has 2 daughters, so he's had to learn a lot, how to deal with our tantrums, our emotions, and then having a daughter with her own needs does take a toll on, you know, his just kind of day-to-day life as well. He's had to change his schedule from work because of our situations. Positivity, his strength, he really keeps me going, and he's always there supportive of all of my events and my shows, and he's doing girly things like combing hair and giving them showers and things that I really didn't think were possible, but he's just gets up and he does it without any kind of hesitation. And I think if I didn't have a life partner like that, it just would have made things even harder.
We fight a lot.
But
We still love each other a lot. I like having a sister because she taught us lessons, and one of them is whenever you fall, you have to get back right up. My hair's so pretty.
Your hair is so pretty.
I love my family.
Everybody is going through something, and we need to really teach our children how to be accepting and inclusive to all. Because this child did not choose to be this way. That's just what happened.